Yeah, so out of like all of those 80s, 90s martial arts action flicks, what are some of your top favorites? Do you have to put Above the Law in one of them? As
Above the Law is definitely up there because it's like it's got a real good feel. You don't see it as an '80s martial arts flick, even though it is for a
it
lot of people like you and me. It got
right.
me in the door at the Aikido studio. That
Yes.
movie,
Yes.
but you don't see it like that's. So that's what it's so cool. It's just hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's, but definitely we talked about it like American Ninja for sure. Ninja, of course, like the one with Sho Kosugi, I think.
Okay. Revenge of the Ninja,
Revenge of the Ninja, yeah, that one,
where
yes.
he fights
Like I watched that
the
one,
Silver Mask. Yeah.
yeah, the Silver Mask when I was a kid. So
Yes.
like that kind of stuff was definitely up there. But like go to movies that I always go to from the '80s, or I have like a lot of Jackie Chan's too,
Oh
like the
wow.
Armor of the Gods. I loved Armor of the Gods. I don't know, like because Jackie Chan was so cool. Like he was a relatable guy.
Which so how many Armor of Gods are there? Three or
I
two?
think there's three. I
There's
think, but
three.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I only
The one where he fights the black ladies at the end, the three black ladies, is that three?
oh, I
That
think so. Yeah.
that's the Thunder Arm, or is that what it was called? Armor of God, Thunder Arm, I think,
I think you're
or
right.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember because I get them confused, one, two, and
Okay.
three.
I watched a movie recently. I think you told me about it. I think it's called like the Iron Circle or the Circle of Power or
The
something, where
Circle of
David
Iron.
Carradine. Yes, dude, that movie is like beyond all the movies. You can like put all the movies in like a category, and then you can put that movie, and it like blows them all away. Like I wish I could watch that one over and over again.
Dude, that is like almost like what was the one by Jodorowsky?
Yes, it
Alejandro.
is. It's Holy
Oh,
Mountain.
it's like
Yes,
Holy Mountain level, right? It's crazy,
yes.
right?
Oh, I'm glad I got you on the line. I recently was watching Crying Freeman, like the TV show,
Yeah,
like the old
yeah.
cartoons. I got through like the first three episodes, and I started like looking at it. I was like, I can't believe it. Like, did they totally like lift the story from John Wick and take elements of John Wick, like the tattooing and you're
Reverse,
bound to,
reverse.
yeah, like they bound him to servitude, and then his wife or his girlfriend gets injured. Well, they're not even girlfriends. It's like the first night, and she's like, "Don't kill me," and like make love to me, and then okay, so then, but she gets injured in the aftermath. So then she has to become part of the 108 clan or whatever they're called. I thought this was incredible. Like
It's
whoever watched
amazing,
John Wick,
right?
whoever made the John Wick movies had to have been influenced by Crying Freeman, the TV show.
Without a
Not to
doubt.
even mention that Mark Dacascos comes out in the
Yes, yes.
live version, and he's like, that's why he tells John in that line, he's like, "We're the same," and he's like, "No, we're not the same." Like I don't know if you've seen the John Wick where okay, so you haven't seen John Wick. Like he literally like sits right next to Keanu. Like no spoilers here, but like he gets right next to him. He's like, "We're the same," and Keanu's like, "No, we're not the same." But I think that that's where it comes from because
Mm-hmm.
he's Crying Freeman
Right,
from
right.
the live action.
Yes.
Anyway, I
That
wondered what you thought about that. If you had seen Crying Freeman as as a kid back in the day. I
I
rented it when I lived in Austin, like in '96 or
no,
something.
I read it, bro.
There you go.
I read it back in the day. So my dad was a big fan of Crying Freeman. So I read as much as I could. I ate it up. It's
Dude,
good stuff, you know.
dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dad
Yeah.
really likes the yakuza kind of story, and that's definitely
Okay.
the
Okay.
Chinese mafia, the
Yes.
108
Yeah.
Dragon Clan, like you said, the
Yeah.
underworld, and
Yeah.
they do all the acupuncture and
Yeah.
against his
Yeah.
will, and that's why he cries, and yeah,
Yep.
but he's an
Yeah.
assassin, and yeah,
Yeah.
all
Oh,
that.
dude. Totally.
It's I just ate it up. It's really cool stuff for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
But yeah, back to Circle of Iron.
Yes.
Bruce Lee had the script idea, right? So
Yeah.
Bruce Lee pretty much had this crazy script where he wanted to do a martial arts story, but where they say martial arts began, which was India. So he wanted to
Yeah.
do a story in India, and that's the Circle of Iron.
Well, that is the best story because, like, he meets the dude in the party, and like they're in the caravan, and it's like the party, and then later he meets that dude, and it's weird. All the weird things that happen, like the Zen
Wait,
philosophy.
okay. So yeah. There's so much Zen stuff in there, which we know Bruce Lee was super into philosophy.
Yeah.
Well, we got to start off with it starts with a freaking martial arts tournament.
It's the tournament of tournaments, and Korg doesn't follow any rules. Like, that's what I liked from the beginning. Like, they pick somebody else,
Yeah.
but he's like, okay, well, I won anyway, so I'm going anyway. I think that's what happens, right?
And
he doesn't
they're
even
like
get picked.
they're like, you broke the rules, you're disqualified, and he's like, hey, that guy's a dancer, I'm the fighter.
I'm a real fighter.
Yeah.
In real life, I'm a fighter, not him. Oh, dude! And then what happens? The monkeys take him out. Like it's the first trial.
There's 3 trials that you got to go through.
Yeah.
And if you go on this epic, you win the tournament, and then you get the right to go through the 3 trials. If you beat the 3 trials, which nobody ever has, but if you beat the 3 trials, then you get the right to go up against Zeton. And if you defeat Zeton, then Zeton has the book of like all knowledge or something like that.
The book of knowledge.
Yeah.
And you gaze upon this book and you know everything all at once.
Right. So that's what it's supposed to be about. So Cord enters this tournament. He gets disqualified because he attacks the dude while the guy's on the ground. And so they're like, you're a cheater. You don't get to go. So they give the medallion, the right to take the trials to this other guy, Morton. Morton goes. Morton actually, that actor works for Cold Steel.
Oh wow!
And he's like their fencing instructor.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Been good.
But so Morton, like you said, enters the first trial, gets defeated because the first trial is these monkeys, right? Obliterated.
Gone. Yeah.
And then Cord actually probably would have been defeated too, but he actually, the night before, he meets the blind man.
Yes. That's the first sign right there.
Played by David Carradine. Yeah, which is crazy because, so do you think if Bruce Lee was in the movie, he would have played the David Carradine role? And once again, the role was taken from him, just like in Kung Fu?
Yes, but Bruce Lee would have also been Cord. He would have been like the main dude. So it would have been like Eddie Murphy coming to America, where he's like many people at once. It would have been Bruce Lee's epic. It would have been an epic. He would have been the main star. He would have been a side star, because he did it all in all his movies. Remember, he would put on the costumes in
Chinese Connection.
Where he's like the phone guy and all that. So he's really, really sharp dude. I think for sure he would have been all the stars, because that's where he was going to. With remember when he looks into the book of knowledge, what does he see?
Oh, you're jumping all the way to the end.
Yeah, I'm jumping all the way because the story, it calls for it. I think he sees himself.
Yeah, it's a mirror.
Yes, it's a reflection of himself. So in this storytelling epic, the main character sees a part of themselves in every character they meet along the journey of their life. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth of what I see in my heart, that I think Bruce Lee would have been all the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have. But yes, David Carradine took another role from him. Are you kidding? It's like another one, like from the grave, like the slap, like rolling over in the grave.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he meets the blind guy, who's actually,
with the flute.
yeah, even though he's blind, he's actually more, can see more than,
Yeah,
you know,
he's like
yeah,
the inner eye.
he's enlightened. So
Yes.
that dude kind of gives him like some advice, right? And so when he faces the monkeys, he's able to, because he hears the advice. Remember,
Yes.
it's something, the monkeys are they're gonna distract you, but you know, you don't play along, or I forgot what it was, but
Yeah, something like that. Like you gotta like look them head on and don't give in. Something to that effect.
yeah,
But without that advice, he wouldn't have made it.
he probably wouldn't have. So he makes that. The second test, Cord, so Cord just takes the medal from Morton's dead body, or basically
Yeah,
Morton gives it to him, and he takes on the quest now. He goes
yeah.
to take the second trial, which he fails.
It's the trial of the babe, right?
It's right. He
Yeah,
fails that one
yeah,
totally, right?
yeah.
And so technically he failed. He's off the course, but then he kind of travels along the blind man, right?
Yes, with the blind man, they do those things. There's the hole in the boat, something, and then there's the fence with the gold, and I think there's like a kid.
Yeah, that
Some
he smacks the kid.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All those things they're all old epic stories from ancient times that tell their storytelling that help people to grow.
hmm,
They're a lot deeper than. So
yes,
Bruce Lee was onto something with the way he was writing this story.
is amazing. Yeah, yeah. And then Cord gets all fed up because he's traveling along this guy because he wants to become as good as this guy. Because he knows that this blind guy has more skill than he does.
Yep.
So he's traveling along. He's like, teach me. But then he's seeing all these things that he's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You're being a terrible jerk.
Because he sees a different pattern.
Yeah.
The blind guy's teaching him the pattern, but he sees a different pattern because he
He's
can see, but he's blind.
but he's stubborn,
Blind to the
and
pattern.
yeah, his mind's shut. So then he tells, he says, why? Explain to me, and before I leave, right? Before I leave you and your wicked ways, or something like that, explain to me. And then he's like, why would I do that? And then he's like, because you've been there before. And he figures it out himself. And that's where the blind man's like, okay, I free you from myself. Goodbye. And
Yeah.
so now Cord's like, I screwed up. I get it now, right?
Yeah.
And
He ends up making it though. Like somehow he makes it to the place,
well,
right?
he does have an encounter with death real quick.
Is that the one where it's the weird devil guy that looks like David Carradine that
Yeah.
says that he talks to him? That's where he like redeems him from the failure of the second trial.
Maybe so, that he's like, I'm not afraid of you type of thing, because I faced
Yeah.
death many times, and he laughed at him, right?
Yes, yeah,
And then he goes to, I guess, the third trial, where it's the guy from the second trial,
yes,
right? And they meet up again, and he's like, Cord, you're here for revenge. And Cord's like, no, I'm not here for revenge. He's like, but I killed the woman.
I killed your girl.
Yeah, I
That's
killed your
right,
girl,
yeah.
right? And Cord is like, no, I killed the girl.
Yeah, see,
And-
that's where Cord redeems himself. Like he learned something.
Yeah, and that's her. He slept with another guy's wife is basically what happened, and so
Yes.
the guy killed the lady, but Cord is saying that happened because I slept with her. So basically, I killed her, and then that's when the guy goes, not the same Cord.
That's right. See,
Right.
So he accepts the responsibility and then elevates himself to
Yes.
a higher consciousness. I think that's where
Yeah,
he moves into that other plane, like the island or wherever, like where all the people are.
well, they fight, and then he's able to
Yeah.
to pass that test. And then he finally goes to the island, like you're saying, where Zeton is, which is played by
Yes,
Christopher Lee, Dracula.
Oh yes, totally.
that is that is obviously.
Christopher Lee was like one of those like major dudes that he has a whole private back life story too.
Yes.
Like, so incredible, both on the screen and off the screen.
And what a presence too, right?
Totally.
To play the last boss, basically.
Yeah.
And so you think there's going to be this epic battle, and actually, Christopher Lee's like, like, I'm not here to fight. And Cord's like ready to fight him, but he's like,
he's ready to fight.
Yeah.
He just wants to get out of there. I think Christopher Lee's realized, okay, you're the next guy, and until you figure it out, like, you're going to be stuck here in paradise forever, but I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I think he wants to get back to the real world, which is the world that we live in, which is actually not the real world. The paradise is the real world. See, it's such a conundrum. That movie is incredible on many, many levels. It gets you to think about all these things.
Well, would you say that, look, when it wasn't so much the world maybe, but what about like Christopher Lee's character, Zeton, is the dude that, like, if this is MMA, he's the world champ.
Totally.
He's the guy that's on he's the guy with the bullseye target. Everybody wants that guy. Everybody wants to beat this guy. So do you think when he wanted the freedom, he meant freedom of that? He's tired of that.
Yeah.
And that actually happens to champions, right?
Yes.
Where they're undefeated, they're the best of the best, and then at some point, like it happened to GSP, like you could tell that he was just getting tired of it. It happened to Khabib, where he was like, I'm done with this. I'm already undefeated. I reached the top. Now please, I'm done, right? I'm going to walk away from this, because if you keep going, there's only one thing waiting for you, which is you're going to get destroyed by a younger buck.
Yeah, the next guy.
Yeah, by the next guy.
Just as much the next version of you.
Right.
That's why the movie's so great, because it's fantasy, but it's talking about an incredible epic.
Yes.
That it's a story, a timeless story of hey, maybe it's like the story of the Phoenix, how you have to live to the finest and burn out in the ashes of your glory, and then you rise up from those ashes, but you rise up a new Phoenix, a new man.
Okay.
So I think that's where they're going with the story. Maybe I took it a little farther, but that's the idea, because we do rise up from our ashes. Cord replaces Zeton, but it's like real short. Like,
well, well, he didn't replace Zeton, right? He refused it.
Yes.
He looks at the book, he laughs, he leaves, and what he did was, I think they kind of hinted out that he was going to become more like the blind flute guy, which was one of the helpers.
Yes.
To make the trial happen.
Maybe it's maybe even going another step.
Yeah.
He's the complete man. He's awakened. He's enlightened.
Yeah.
So he's not only can he see with his inner eye, but he also has the plastic eye or the material eye. So he's not completely like the blind man. You're right. But he goes a step further and keeps his material form. He doesn't have to be disfigured or enter this world as a consolation prize or a diminished version of his perfect self, because he rejected the Zeton
the book.
Ultimate mantle. He rejected the mantle of champion. Right. He becomes life's champion.
Right. So would you say that maybe they don't tell this to us, but could we assume that the David Carradine character, right, the blind flute guy, he became blind, he saw the book?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's I think that's what I.
And it was such a shock that he became blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he didn't reject it he didn't reject it correctly.
He took it way too seriously.
But through his life in all the years, that's why he can see all the things that Cord can't see. The monkeys and the boat and the treasure, all those things, because he's now having to correct all those things that all the everything that he looked at that blinded him. Yeah, I think you're onto something, and that's my interpretation of it. What you said, based on what you said.
So
Totally.
when he comes back and they meet together again, he knows that Cord made it and saw the book,
Yes.
so they both kind of like laugh and right.
Yes, and there's peace. Like they both have peace in their hearts.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, so both of those guys essentially, would you say, is more enlightened than Zeton?
Absolutely.
Because Zeton's still stuck in that pyramid,
Yes. Zeton is operating. I think we've talked about it before, where I've told you that people are operating at the highest capacity of which their hardware can operate. So yeah. Zeton's at that pinnacle, and until somebody else comes over to knock him off of it,
yeah,
he can't. He's not liberated or emancipated. And since Cord didn't want to do it,
yeah,
he left that mantle, and maybe the psychiatrists, they call that mantle the ego, and that's his ego. So he put his ego aside,
right,
and he became human in the truest form of altruism and living for the truth, the seeking of truth.
Yes.
So I like it. I like the story. It's a great story.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of depth for the modern world.
It makes me think of like what you just said right now. Is like when you see some of those TV shows where people are doing those reality TV shows where they're selling real estate and they're making millions and millions of dollars, and they're hooked on it, and they can't stop, and they got to keep busting their ass, but they're making millions, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like that's Zeton right there.
Yes, they're at the highest level of their operation. They can't go beyond it. And
they're stuck there, and they think that's life, and that's but they're actually a prisoner of their own ego, like you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
it happens to everyone. No one is immune to it, and that's why a story like The Circle of Iron is a great story, because it tells so many multiple layers of the journey of what it takes to be a human being.
Right.
I think that's like the most fundamental meaning of the story. So, wow, we went from there, like Last Kumite to Circle of Iron, and I watched it recently, like on the internet. There's a cool website where you can find like the archive movies, and it was great, high resolution, 1080p.
Oh, nice.
Everything,
nice.
It was awesome.
I think they had it on Tubi TV.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I've watched it on there not too long ago, and it's a movie. Honestly, I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Over and over. Like for some reason, my dad had it.
Oh, dude, you're lucky then, man.
So on Betamax, we had it on Betamax, but dude. He hated it. He hated that movie. For me, I loved it because it was like a Beastmasters or
it was like Beastmaster.
Yeah, or Conan or
awesome. Yeah.
It looks like an action adventure movie.
Yeah, it totally. I mean, it's got the vibe. It's got the music.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It had all the elements of Beastmaster and Conan put together.
Yeah.
I think it's a way better story. Although I love Conan and the John Milius movie. That's like so amazing.
Epic.
But,
epic.
And I think the Robert Howard, is that the guy that wrote Conan?
Robert E. Howard.
He had like a shadowy figure that was dictating to him the novel. So
yes.
There's a whole other thing going on there we haven't gotten into.
Yeah.
We've already been at this for an hour, but that Conan, but Circle of Iron, dude, that's so does that count as the best 80s movie?
Oh man, that is an amazing okay, so would you put it up there? I know you really like Slipstream, and
dude, Slipstream was great.
Dude, the talk that we had, the video review that we did about Slipstream, I thought was it was super awesome. So for me, I feel would you say Circle of Iron and Slipstream are kind of like in the same up there?
Oh yeah, they're definitely in the same category as far as a movie that's going to alter your perception of reality after you've seen it.
Mm.
You go into the movie thinking one thing, and then not even necessarily about the movie. Just you're one version of you. After you watch the movie, you're a different version of you. Those two movies can do that.
Wow.
They can affect you. I'll give you an example. Like when I watched Empire Strikes Back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like this is me being a kid. I wanted to use the Force.
Of course. The lightsaber. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that we watched Mandalorian. We talked about it, but how many kids out there do you think that when they watched that one episode of Grogu using the Force, how many kids went out there and tried to practice how to use the Force? It didn't have the same impact.
I don't think so.
I'm saying it didn't have the same impact. I know you believe it didn't have the way Empire had that impact on me. So this movie, Circle of Iron and Slipstream, they have that life-changing moment where it flips a switch in your brain, and you're never the same after that. After Slipstream, you're thinking like, hey, wait a minute. Is this about the fall of man? Is this about good and evil? What is this about? Because it talks about so many different things.
Yeah. Just
like Circle of Iron, it leaves you with questions that enable you as a person to grow in whatever field. If you're an accountant or if you're a pharmacist, in whatever field that you've sought out your career life. Yeah, you can use that movie. Those two movies.
I mean, they're deep. Yeah. They're about humanity and No.
Like, I mean, I watched the Avengers and all 10 sequels. I didn't want to go out and put on a glove and put little diamonds on the glove. You know what I mean? But I watched Circle of Iron, I think maybe 10 years ago or something. I don't know, for the first time. No, it was after you told me. So it was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Who knows? And so I'm, maybe 39, turning 40, and I'm thinking, holy moly, I want to pattern myself after this. I want to get better. I want to be a better person. So it still happens. There's still movies out there that can change your life. Like we talked about those John Carpenter movies, like Big Trouble in Little China and all that stuff. I mean,
They Live. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like They Live, the everyday man.
Yeah.
It's the perspective of a common man fighting the system doesn't get any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, and so again, that element where Korg is just like the ordinary me, or the ordinary you is just a regular guy that made his own way. I like that story. I like those kind of stories. I hope Last Kumite does something like that. Where they do a good storyline.
You set the bar maybe a little too high there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have hope.
Okay. So that's great. We could keep going, but maybe this is a good place.
Yeah, it's a good place to stop. We definitely went over a lot of topics, and I'm glad we talked about Circle of Iron and Crying Freeman too, because I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah,
that you just
you
read the manga,
like Lone Wolf. That deserves its own. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we got to go back to Crying Freeman because I want to talk about that. Because John Wick, I watched the movies. I watched all 4 now. Okay. I don't know if you've watched even
just one or not. Just one. Yeah.
The part 1.
Yeah.
That's all you need, by the way. Like, that's no spoilers out there but that for me. Oh, I didn't. It just got progressively worse with each sequel. I don't know why. Do you notice that too with sequels, man? Like, do you notice that?
Usually that is the case. They're just riding on the success, and they're the, like you were kind of saying before, the sincerity takes off. Yeah. But
like Aliens, though, Aliens is a good sequel.
Yeah, really different, but yeah, I mean, because it went from a sci-fi horror to a sci-fi action. Yeah.
I watched the living daylights out of Aliens Part 2 because it wasn't as scary when I was a little kid. So, and then Bill Paxton, like I think he had just come out in Weird Science. So he
Okay.
was like the big brother of Weird Science. So in my little movie head, as a little movie critic, 10, 11-year-old movie critic, I could justify watching that because I wasn't going to be as scared. I was a scared kid, man, growing up, like watching movies. Like the Waxwork scared me, like that movie.
I remember Predator scaring the bejesus out of me.
Dude,
Yeah.
Predator is still one of my movies of like, it is the top scary, but like just it scared me too.
That is an awesome movie, but yeah, when I was a kid when I saw that, it was so scary. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it. We've talked about it. I was at the theater. It scared me, but like now looking back, like extraterrestrials, like I think I was more scared of the Predator because it was like a human like ET as opposed to the alien. But anyway, I know we're going off this subject, but
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun in these movies. I hope we get to do this again. We should try to talk about something soon. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So in the meantime, maybe like we said, this is a good place to cut it. So
yeah, for sure.
Yes. You want to do the honors?
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for checking it out, and we'll see you back soon. Thank you, wmpyr. See you soon, man.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. wmpyr, over and out.
Later on. Over and out. Dude, we did it.